Monday, August 8th at 7:23 in the morning. Thought I'd go for a bike ride. It's supposed to be cloudy this morning and most of today, and not quite as hot, but I'm only going to be out for a few hours, 2 or 3 hours at the most. So hopefully I can get this ride in the relative cloudy conditions and not be burned up by the sun. That's my plan. So I decided to head west. Head west, young man. Just coming up along Second Lake Road towards Depot Lake's conservation area. And I may take a quick stop there to look at the lake. So I just dropped in at the washrooms here at the conservation area to not only go to the washroom, but to check for moths. They have lights on several sides of this washroom building, and I managed to find a few different moths, so it's always good to check wherever you can. It's amazing, but even just this few kilometers north of our house, and it's apparent on the road here that they had quite a bit of rain last night, or last evening. There's big puddles, even looks like some little washouts, so they probably had some heavy rain downpours last evening when we just got missed by them all. But I guess there has to be a dividing line somewhere, and it looks like it was just south of here. So last week, they just worked on this road, adding a layer of tar and stone, or tar and chips, sometimes they call it. It's basically fine limestone aggregate that they add onto a layer of tar. And then over the course of a few weeks, the stones press into the tar and become sort of like asphalt. I guess it's a cheaper method than using total asphalt. And it has advantages and disadvantages, but from a biker's perspective, it's annoying to ride on for the first few weeks until the aggregate gets settled into or tossed off of the tar. Then it becomes sort of like pavement after that. So you can probably hear the loose stones under my tires. Where the cars ride most, the tracks are a little smoother. Eventually these loose stones that don't get pressed into the tar sort of work their way off the road with the tire motion, and then it becomes more like pavement. And right now here in the center, it's a little more compressed and clear of gravel, so that's the easier place to ride. As soon as I go off, you can hear it here. Like an inch thick of loose gravel. Anyhow, this is a beautiful stretch of road right along here for quite a few kilometers now. Very little traffic, nice road, very pretty scenery. I always find cemeteries interesting places to look around. You can discover a lot about the past and see which families were some of the earlier families in the area. Just upon quick glance, there seems to be quite a few Dillons in here, as well as Breens, B-R-E-E-N. Those are two names that are showing up fairly commonly. Quite a few Dillons and Breens. Otherwise also McCune. This is an interesting monument that I hadn't come back to see. It's right at the back of the property. And in case you can't read it, it basically says, "In Memoriam, on June 26, 1913, a tragic accident took the lives of at least 10 Italian workers whose remains are buried here. They were killed in a dynamite explosion while working on the Campbellford, Lake Ontario and Western Railway line between Echo Lake and Wilkinson, Ontario. This monument honors their memory." Interesting. They've done this very nicely. And they've got these two side rocks here, these big boulders. You can see the drill cores in their faces. So that's an interesting monument to these workers. And here's a view of the larger cemetery with the sun shining on them. I still remember quite clearly one day, I think I was in grade 7, and our teacher took us to a local cemetery where we did chalk rubbings on the faces of the old gravestones. These were stones that you could hardly read, so if you put up a piece of paper on them and then just rub them with a bit of charcoal or dark chalk, you could better read what they said. And that was a way for us to learn a little bit about the history of that particular area. It was neat. And it's always interesting to read the gravestones. You can learn a lot about the ages of people, whether they had kids or not, and whether the kids died early, which they often did in those days due to diseases and sickness. I'm keeping an eye on the radar because there's potential for storms today. In behind this first sunflower-like plant, which is known as Ella Campaign, there seems to be a yellow version of touch-me-not, spotted touch-me-not. And I don't believe I've seen this before, a yellow version. Now maybe this is a different species altogether. I'll have to check. So I checked a few resources when I got home, and it wasn't long before I found out what it was. It's called pale touch-me-not, Impatiens pallida. And in recollection, I think I do remember reading or seeing this species somewhere, but I'd just forgotten about it primarily for the most part. In checking the range of the species, it's interesting to note its distribution in northeastern North America, in the northeastern states, and southern Ontario. Here's an Ontario view showing the predominance in south central Ontario. And then when you go to eastern Ontario, there's only a few specks. Now, one of which is mine, and you can see why it's not often encountered here. Well, it's 9 o'clock and I'm at Bell Rock Road now. This ride normally takes me an hour, and today it's taken me an hour and a half, just simply because I've been doing these video snippets and stopping to look at the odd thing, but that shows you how much extra time it can take. Oh well, that's the joy of exploration, really. Otherwise, you'll just be shooting through an area and not really see much. This is the marsh at the north end of Camden Lake, just off of Road 6. And this water area is getting quite grown in with water lilies and other water plants. The gray skies are continuing, so that's good for me. I'm watching the radar because there is potential for thunderstorm development today. Here's the view looking north across the same area of the road. Just had a kingfisher fly up the creek here. For much of the ride today, I've been battling a westerly wind, but now that the road has turned east, I've got it at my back, which is a nice change. Actually, coming down 6 wasn't too bad because it was just at my side, but all the rest of the ride it's been right in my face, getting stronger as I've gone. So now we're predominantly doing east, south, and north rides, so it should be a lot easier for the rest of the ride. Just came across this fancy little machine at the dump here, at the Moscow dump. You can see this looks like a pretty specialized unit designed to dig trenches with this big blade at the back here. And then looks like it would lay this hose or cable behind it. So I guess it's a version of a trencher of some sort. It's got the tractor type treads on it, so it could go through any terrain by the looks of it. This old field looks nice as it's got a lot of chicory in it in bloom. Bright blue against the yellowish brown of the grass. In the field behind me I can hear grasshopper sparrows calling still. Here's an old place all boarded up underneath the trees here. It's always kind of sad to see an old house left behind like this. I was just thinking as I ride along here how long it seemed last winter to go through the winter and wait for spring to arrive. Then finally spring comes, shoots through to summer, and here we are almost halfway through August, staring fall in the face. And before long the snow will be flying again. The summers sure seem to go by a lot faster than the winters. Just cruising along Petworth Road here. Fairly long stretch of hilly road in places. Heading over to Wolf Swamp Road. Couple mares with a couple foals out here. The mares have white faces and the babies have white faces. That's interesting. So cute. This little one looks like he might be a chestnut. Hard to tell. The one behind looks like a bay with white socks, similar to Piper in a way. Not quite as dark. Hello. Hello. Shy baby, eh? You shy? You're cuties. You're cuties. Yes, you are. Hello. You're cuties. Hello. So 10:22 and almost 3 hours in now, and I'm just on the KMP trail heading north towards Verona. The day remains cloudy, which is good for riding. I don't feel like I'm burnt up or anything. A moderate west wind and probably same humidity level. It's very humid, probably 70% humidity. Whenever you stop, you just get covered in beads of sweat. So there you go. It's about 11 o'clock. So I've been riding for about 3.5 hours, give and take, with a few breaks here and there for video and to check different things that I see along the way, go into the cemetery and whatnot. A really nice ride. The cloud cover maintained itself for most of the ride, getting a little bit sunny right now, but then again it goes back in fairly quickly. So a great day with the cloud cover, so I'm not burning myself up. Otherwise the heat is pretty heavy. It's 30 degrees and high humidity, so I'm just sweating now that I've stopped again. With the wind flow over you while you're riding, it maintains a bit of dryness, but as soon as you stop, it's right on you again on a day like this. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed that ride, and hopefully get out for a few more yet this summer. I'm sure I will. There's still a lot of good riding left, probably till early November at least. So, hope you enjoyed that, and we'll catch up on another ride soon.